Hey, this is Chuck, and you are listening to Fans with Bands, the podcast where we talk to the fans and the bands they dig about life, music, and whatever the hell else we want to talk about. Today on Fans with Bands, we're talking to Annex Void. Check it out. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Fret Rescue. Located in Southeast Michigan, Joe at Fret Rescue has over 17 years of experience as a journeyman luthier. From basic setup to major repairs and restorations, you can put your trust in Fret Rescue. Contact Fret Rescue via email at fretrescue@gmail.com. You can also find them on social media by searching for Fret Rescue, @FERTRESCUE. That's Fret Rescue. Hey, this is Chuck with Fans with Bands, and I'm talking to Gabby, Rob, David, Sam, and Stewart from Annex Void. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you? Great.
Awesome. And then we have a couple fans. We've got Crystal and Cheryl. And then I'm assuming you guys can hear me and you're just kind of hanging out. But if you want to join in and say, hey, and they're going to wait. So anyway, so I can't remember, Gabby, if you sent me a message or an email. But you reached out and said, hey, something to the effect of like, do you want to check out this other band that I'm in called Annex Void? And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, because I love what you do in Black Note Graffiti. And I thought, well, anything you're in is going to be good. So I booked you guys, and I'll be honest, I didn't actually check out your music until like about 2 weeks ago. And when I did, I was like, I was floored. I had no idea. I didn't really know what to expect with your band, but then listening to this like super technical progressive metal, I was blown away. You guys are fantastic. It very much reminded me of a couple bands I love, which is Oceans of Slumber, and I don't know if you guys are familiar with Cynic, because some of the jazzy stuff that you guys are doing in there is very much reminding me of like this older progressive death metal band called Cynic, but very cool. So,
That's awesome. Thank you.
so thank you guys so much for being on Fans of Bands.
No, thank you for having us on. I know we just debuted our EP like 2 weeks ago, so perfect timing.
That's awesome. So speaking of, the band, like, how did you guys form? How did the Annex Void come to be?
Well,
You can start with us, Gabby.
well, I'll give the good version. So there's this band called The Contortionists, and they're super cool.
Yeah.
And then obviously we're all like experienced musicians, and I was like, man, I think it'd be really cool to like have a band that sounds like that, has that similar vibe. And so me and David at the time were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and now we're about to get married. But I was like, you want to be in this band with me? He was like, sure. I was like, well, who can we ask? He was like, well, duh, we gotta ask Stu. This is like right up his alley. We're like, okay. So we get to David and Stu, and we're like, well, we need a bass player and a guitar player. I don't know anyone else. So Stu found Sam and Rob, and then we were like just hitting it off from there, and it was cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. That's fantastic. So like what time frame was this? Like how long ago?
I was like, we formed fall 2021.
Oh, nice. Very nice. So
first
we had talked about it for like June of 2021.
Yeah, we were talking about it like all summer, and
like it slowly we're like picked up momentum. Originally it was just, hey, what do you think about this? And then quickly after like a couple months of waiting, then it all of a sudden just kind of exploded from there.
Yeah. Then we got together, we did our first meeting / like rehearsal. We did a Contortionist cover, of course, and then yeah, it was really cool. We all just vibe really well together. So
yeah.
Very cool. And where do you guys where are you practicing? And do you have like a studio space? Where is that happening?
We started playing in, actually, Dave, you were still living in Redford at the time. There was a house that we had lived in right after college, and we had started rehearsing there, and then you guys got a spot in Ferndale. And Rob was also living in Ferndale at the time, so we kind of split our time between the two spots in Ferndale. And then now I guess we're still technically.
Yeah, we're still.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so tell me about the name. How did you guys come up with the name Annex Void?
Well, originally we were just Annex, because when we thought it sounded cool, and then I thought that we bring something different to the genre in itself, because I mean, we're metal, but there's some other things happening too.
For sure.
Realize that like, oh, with, Spotify and social media, if you have like a single name, it's kind of hard for people to find you if it's not like super unique.
Yeah.
So we thought about adding on like a second part of it, which was Void, and then, yeah, so it just made more sense to do it that way.
Very
And
cool.
basically just means like, just like us adding into this unknown space, in metal, or whatever the genre is that we're doing.
Yeah, it definitely crosses genres because, like I said, I was checking out the EP, Will I Dream, and just so much. I mean, there's jazz, there's these great like ambient progressive. I hate to use the word progressive too much, but these kind of ambient like dreamscape spaces in between, like then just really crushing heavy stuff at other points. So like I said, it reminds me of like music I've heard in some respects, especially Oceans of Slumber. And I think it's mainly because of Gabby, your vocals, because they have a female singer as well, and so it definitely has that kind of um, that vibe a little bit. But I'm curious, like, so that EP just came out like a few weeks ago. What was the process like for you guys pulling that together? Did when you were coming together as a band, did you already have some ideas? I mean, Gabby, you mentioned you guys were into contortionists, but like, did you have some fully formed songs? Did you just get together and jam? How did that all work?
You guys can answer if you want to say.
Well, to give you some, also to kind of expand more on like the background of how we kind of met and how the band formed. So yeah, I think it started with you two, with the original idea. And so David went to Wayne State, I went to Wayne State, and Stu went to Wayne State as well, all for music, like jazz studies. And
Oh,
so
cool.
David, I think he like graduated the year that I went in. So I just missed him, but I had heard about him, like and kind of the Detroit jazz scene is, like kind of its own
Yeah.
little community. And I think we all kind of just knew about each other from just seeing each other, but also kind of having that mutual interest. Like I think we were all really into Meshuggah. And I think once Stu found out that I was into Meshuggah, like they got Stu on board, and then Stu was like, I think I know somebody. So I would say like from our perspective, we all like have this kind of, we came from the jazz world, and especially like Stu and David, like amazing, they were playing gigs like all the time. And they still do. But I think, yeah, this was kind of like a refreshing opportunity for all of us where we're like, okay, we love this music, and we're really interested in extended range guitars and things like that.
Nice.
And I think, yeah, like maybe you could take it from there about like how the first few ideas came together. Yeah.
First idea.
Oh, was that the one that we recorded in your basement?
That was Jerry.
Jerry, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that was stolen from a Tim Miller song. Yeah, those stacked fifth chords. Yeah.
It's been ripped off.
I remember somebody Stu like sent it, and then like I found the portraiture function on Logic, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then you guys just like ran with it. And I was like, oh, this is really cool.
This is how the first I saw him we like cobbled together. It was like what are these, like our Richter set or whatever, or like Lego, like that was how was made, because there was like we had some ideas or whatever, and like there was like that song was written in like two parts, one of us doing that, cobbling it together, and then we wrote the second half of the song actually at Gabby's house. David, Gabby, and I were sitting around I think just, your mom made this really killer.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
my mom made a seafood boil,
Yeah.
and that inspired the second half of it.
Yeah. And literally, we would just pass, and there's parts in the album that's literally us just passing the, like, someone writes something rhythmic, and then
Yeah.
you basically give the laptop to the next person, and then they then make another part. But like other parts of the songs are very like, or like other songs are very like they're very they're not built like that, or like not written like that. Like I know Everything All at Once was an idea. Like the very first part of Everything All at Once is like all of us messing around pretty much with the laptop. So like the rest of the song is pretty much like Rob wrote that. Like he had the main idea and then we showed it to us and we are like, oh yeah, that's good. All right. Are you
Awesome.
good? Yeah, no, it's good. And then like Past Future, I wrote that one. That was pretty much separately. Ripples was I gotta remember how Ripples goes actually. I know the ending riff is David's, I know that much.
Yeah.
And I wrote some part, and Rob wrote some stuff as well. So it's like each song is honestly the best answer to that is every person, like each song is completely different. Like,
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's cool
Well-
though. That's probably the funnest part of it was just demoing the music. It's like, because you're hearing it like all together alive for the first time.
Yeah.
And in the studios where we all just get pissy.
So, where did you guys record?
Well, I'll speak up for drums. So we did drums at Stone Soup Studios with Eric Sills. It's in Toledo. Eric's
Nice.
just fantastic. He's got a really nice room, and he has a really nice. He has a lot of different drums and anything you could want. And so like, and he's just an absolute pro. So like we just showed up there, we had all our demos ready to go, and then we just played, like I just sat down, played along the demos, and he didn't put any pressure on us, so we were just able to track the drums like perfectly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
For the guitars, it was different, and vocals and bass, it was different though.
Yeah, it was all self-produced. We did, I know bass I did at my house, we're at Rob's, and Rob did basically all the guitars with David at his place. Gabby did the vocals on her own as well, and then we
Wow.
sent them mixed and mastered.
Awesome. Fantastic. It sounds great. The mix is super good. Love the tone of the drums. Really sound incredible. So yeah, and I like the way the mix, because sometimes, especially with heavy music, I mean, like I said, you've got those interludes of quiet and storm, in a lot of those tunes. But sometimes the bass gets lost too, like especially when things get really heavy or chaotic, and I can still pick it out, which I think is good. That's to me, heavy music. If you can hear that bass, then somebody's doing something right on the mix, because half the time it's lost.
Yeah. We actually had it mixed and mastered by Jonathan Morgan. He's all the way over in the UK, so like we're like 6 hours apart in time difference. So we would like send him our stems, and then he would mix them, and then we'd get him back like a day later, or a day or two later, based on his schedule, whatever. And then we'd have all our notes and send it back. So it was difficult, but it was interesting. But it came out great. Like he definitely was like the glue, like because he put a lot of cool little effects and 808s and like really tied it together. It was like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah,
this
it
is
amazing.
this is a EP. Okay.
Grace Studios.
Yep.
Yeah, check him out. He's great. His band Poltergeist is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool.
No, loved his record, what's his
Mhm.
record called?
What is it called? House of Mirrors, right? Or is it no?
No, it's Invitations of the Bizarre.
Oh, you're right. Yep.
Yeah, Imitations of the Bizarre, and it's just wild. It's very good. It's just
Yeah.
very
Cool. I'll have to check it out.
well in the Meshuggah without being Meshuggah. And everyone's ear was like, okay, yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And he's like British too, so like
Oh.
he was easy to kind of like communicate to in that
Mhm.
regard, like what we wanted to. He kind of understood it.
Yeah. Well, that's probably half the battle, if you get somebody that kind of has a sense for where you want it to go, they can
Mhm.
help guide it,
Yep.
So
Yeah.
out of the tunes that are on the EP, I was curious about for each of you, which is do you have a favorite, or one you would call your favorite, and what is it about that song that you love? And
I like everything all at once. I think that the chords that Rob wrote for the beginning half of the song are like super gorgeous. And even like how the chords fit like over the riffs, like in the second half of the song, like it just really like resonates well with me. So that one, for that reason, is my favorite.
cool, awesome. Rob.
For me, it's definitely Ripples. No contest. Well, actually, there is some contest. There is some contest. I love Ripples. I think that one is like the best overall composition, and the ending riff is just unbelievable.
Excellent.
And then, but the contest is Past Future. I also love Past Future Illusion.
Yeah.
That one just makes me smile.
Stewart.
My favorite, probably Ripples. I like that one. If it hadn't been the closing track of the album, I would have pushed it to be the first single, but it's good where it is. I like it because it's of the songs that made the album, it's the most collaborative. Yeah.
Awesome. Sam, how about you?
I think my favorite is probably Past Future. For me, it's just so catchy, and I love the like textural guitars that are in like the verse sections and that bridge. There's just so much texture to it. I think it's really good.
Excellent. And Gabby, how about you?
I think I would say Everything All at Once. I mean, originally that was supposed to be the first single we released, but then we changed our mind. And I don't know, like that's just like my favorite melody to sing and my favorite lyrics that I've ever written in that song.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rob's cool. Cry.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
That boy.
It's hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I was curious about like when you, it's kind of like an origin question, but like for each of you, it's one thing to like, you mentioned three of you went to Wayne State for jazz. But what was like kind of an inspiring aspect of your life or either someone or something that motivated you to want to become a musician at one, but then two, to play in a band? Because there's one thing, I know a lot of great like musicians that like they don't really want to be in a band. They're happy to pick up their guitar and do their own thing, and that's it, right? But then there's another level, at least to me in my experience, is that when you go to want to be in a band, it's a joint collaborative adventure with folks, and it's a different kind of experience. So I'm just wondering for each of you, and maybe we'll go in reverse order, and we'll start with Gabby. What was it about your musical journey? Like what made you want to do this kind of music, I guess?
I don't know. Well, I feel like the first time I was really, at least for vocals, that I was like super inspired was my dad. Will he be in the chat? I see you. He's in, he used to play a lot of Queen, and I just thought the harmonies Freddie Mercury would do. I'd never heard nothing like that. I was just like, whoa, this is crazy. So that like really inspired me to really get into singing. And I was singing in church as a kid too, but Queen really. And then as far as being in a band, this is also gonna sound really cheesy, but I used to like the movie Camp Rock a lot when I was like 8 years old. I thought it was so sweet. Now I'm like, wow, this is really cringy. But no, I used to love Camp Rock. Yeah, I wanna be in a band with people that like do cool stuff. Yeah. So that was pretty much it.
Awesome. Sam.
For me, I started music. I guess I kind of had to for school, and I picked the bass because it was the biggest one. I was like, that looks cool, and it stuck with me. But then as soon as I got a bass guitar, I had some friends that played guitar, and we were jamming. And I think for me, being a musician and being in a band are one and the same. I couldn't imagine one without the other. Then musically specifically, I would say listening to Dan Briggs playing in Between the Buried and Me, like on Colors or any of those albums, like they just the bass that he was doing was just phenomenal, and it really inspired me to, I don't know, push boundaries and write things that I didn't hear very much. So
Cool. Excellent. Stewart.
You know, I really liked Camp Rock as well.
Awesome.
I That's a hard question. I started super young, so I started playing when I was like 2 years old.
Holy
So
shit.
because my parents, I see Cheryl in the chat, but they listen to a lot of music by the Doobie Brothers and Jeff Beck. And when you already, I guess maybe are apt to play music, and then you hear, even at a young age, really good music, it makes you kind of just want to imitate. At least for me, that's what it was. But musically, I had a VHS tape of like a Doobie Brothers performance. They did this concert. It was like a wildlife benefit show in like '96 or something, and it was on like PBS or something. But they had it was like a 2 hour concert or whatever. And I would sit there and play along to it, and that's where I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." I mean, it's great. And what was funny actually though is I used to not like the Michael McDonald songs, but now I actually most enjoy the Michael McDonald songs.
Oh man. Awesome. Rob, how about you?
For me, it's a really interesting question about what made you want to play in a band. Because for me, I've always been interested in music and never really thought about playing in a band, probably for like the first 6 years or so of really taking it seriously. I was just kind of like on my own, doing my own stuff. And it's interesting because besides like a band in high school, which, but it was interesting when I started playing with these guys and writing with them. I found that all of the things that I struggled with as an individual, as someone like a creative musician, specifically writing and composition, that all of those deficiencies, you could call them, were being like upheld or filled in by the other members of the band.
Oh, cool.
And that has been one of the most satisfying things I've ever experienced. Like having an idea and then watching it kind of bloom through the help of other people. And I feel really, really lucky to be in this band because everyone is so amazing in this group. I'm really trying to make the most of it. Like this is such a cool community. So yeah, it's been really cool to see
Cool.
that kind of outlet.
Fantastic. And David.
Yeah, I had an interest like in music from like the very, very beginning. And I remember being like this whiny little kid, like begging my parents like for a guitar. And they were like, no, you're too young. Like I was just like a tiny, tiny kid, like that probably wouldn't have been able to hold the guitar. And I remember, I think that my first like moment where I was like, wow, this is like amazing, like music is like amazing was listening to Carlos Santana when I was like 3 or 4 years old. And looking back, like, I don't know, I'm so far removed from that now. So it's kind of funny, like looking back on that time, but like I would like well up with tears as a little kid, like listening to that music
Oh
because
man, awesome.
so, like I want to do this so, so badly. And so when I finally was able to get a guitar, it was like a dream come true. And I've like just never stopped since then. And it's led me to being in this project, which like Rob said, I'm like super grateful to be a part of.
Fantastic. Did you ever learn any Santana tunes?
I think like over like the course of my youth, but I probably wouldn't be able to remember them now.
Well, just because when you were talking about being a little kid and being like having it be like an emotional experience listening to Santana, I feel that same way with him, like with one tune, and it's a song called Europa. Um, that tune is like almost like Steve Vai when he plays "For the Love of God." It's just like, what the hell? How did this guy like channel that? You know, it's like Jesus.
Man, those two are like, you're speaking my language. I literally played Europa in my 8th grade talent show.
Oh, really? Awesome. Yeah, I love that song. It's crazy. Like that, yeah. So, another kind of like origin question. What was the very first album, cassette, CD, whatever that you either um, that you bought with your own money, but you know it could have been like I don't know, your mom gave you some money for Christmas or something like that, so you didn't have to like have a job or anything. But um, let's start with David.
We
And
all
this
kind of grew up in streaming, so it's like.
And
after
this
we bought
is, this is like going way, way back. Then American Idiot by Green Day.
Oh, let's
Oh,
go.
excellent.
That was mine too, really. I couldn't think of it. I'm glad that you said it. Wow.
Awesome.
It
So
was
Rob,
I remember because I had like a 256 megabyte iPod. And yeah, I was like, I'm gonna get, and I think I only got 5 of the songs. I only bought 5 of the songs from American Idiot. Put them on the iPod, and that's what I would listen to.
excellent.
Yeah.
Stewart, how are you?
I'm trying to think about this. I didn't, like, my parents had a lot of good music already around when I was younger.
Hmm.
I'll see, listen to that, but the first one that I actually bought, oh man. I'm trying, it was probably, oh, I know what it was. It was Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. And it was, I bought, I bought this album in 8th grade on iTunes. I was so I had to think about it for a second.
Oh
Like
man.
you hear on the radio like "Sweet Child of Mine" or Paradise City, and I was so about it.
Oh, that's awesome.
I will say that album's great though if you have headphones and you listen to it because they double track. They did a single guitar track on each side, and both the guitar players Slash and I can't remember the other dude's name. They play completely differently the entire time. That was my first exposure to being like, oh wow, it's you can hear like they play so sloppily, but yet it sounds so good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever actually listened to that album like all the way through. I'll be honest.
But it was I haven't listened. I'm very as like David with you being far away removed from Santa. I'm so far removed from that now,
Oh yeah, I know.
I remember I used to really like the album. So I mean, you could probably listen to it. It probably still slaps for what it is. So.
That's right. Yeah. Sam, how about you?
Oh man, I'm having a hard time remembering, but for some reason I want to say it was "All Hope Is Gone" by Slipknot. I think that might have been it, which I still spin to this day. So you know what? No problems with that.
That like a fun side note. Well, I don't know if it was actually fun, but I saw Slipknot on the side stage at Ozfest years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
That was the most frightening pit I've ever been in my life. I was like literally worried, like if I fall down, I'm getting trampled. I'm gonna
Yeah.
die. Like,
Yeah, I saw them live, and some dude had to get carried out of the pit with like a broken leg. But I was not in the pit. I just, oh my god.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I've been in plenty of pits and had, some serious, well, not totally serious, broken nose and dislocated knee, but that was the most scariest pit I've ever been. That was frightening.
You made it. You made it. So
Yeah.
that's something about
Gabby, how about you?
I would say one of the first albums because when I was younger, I didn't like buy records. I had like an iPod Touch, so I would just like illegally download music onto that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for like burned CDs, so they're like, we didn't support artists, we just. But I think I used to be really into Sleeping with Sirens, and it was the album Let's Cheer to This. I don't know. I was one of those really emo kids that like that sound like girls with their guys. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So you've got the EP out. What are the plans? Like, do you have you're gonna have some shows lined up? And if you say shows, like think about that this won't be out for 3 weeks, but do you have any shows lined up? Do you plan to do any like touring if you can or anything like that? What are you planning to do to promote the EP?
The next show we have is on June, it's eighth, right?
Eighth.
Yeah, June 8th at the Sanctuary with, we're opening for a Gray Lotus, which is like a technical death metal band, and Sarah Longfield. It's like a prog metal, prog rock kind of deal she does.
Oh, cool.
They're on tour together, so we're hoping for that. There's another band that's before us too.
Yeah, I can't remember their name. But yeah, this has been before us too. We're on there too.
Yeah, that's the
They're
next.
local as well.
Yeah, that's the next show we have. Do we have anything else? Can we talk about anything?
Yeah, that's the only we can announce right now.
Okay.
And also probably gonna release another single, maybe fall or whatever. We're gonna release that first song we wrote when we threw the laptop around. So, release that sometime this year just to keep momentum going. But that's kind of how we're promoting the EP, just, you know, the show that we're playing and then that single that's coming out. And right now we're working on our second album, you know, like we got what, like 10-ish songs already.
A lot of stuff going.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, when Rob and I organized it a couple days ago,
Yeah.
it was pretty substantial. We're like, oh, there's material here.
Nice. Nice. That's awesome.
They made a tier list, which is that's the tier song. So
And I'm trying to remember, do you have physical like CDs, anything like that right now?
not yet, maybe in the future, potentially, but yeah, not yet.
All right, so basically you have to stream it.
Stream it or
Yep.
buy it on Bandcamp.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you
We are accepting orders on Bandcamp.
all right, cool. So yeah, when I put together the show notes, I always put links to Bandcamp, or if you guys have your own website, so I'll have that out there too. But yeah, I was just curious about physical because I love, you know, I definitely like to support bands like if they have just digital, getting them off Bandcamp because I think that's great. But I'm like well, obviously I'm an old dude, so I like the physical things, you know, the CDs or better at the vinyl. But
Yeah,
maybe for the next album you can do that.
Love
That'd be awesome.
yeah, it's definitely not out of the question.
Yeah.
Something very cool to do.
Yeah, this is our first record EP together, so we're just trying to test it out and see what works, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Release it in the future on physical.
Cool.
So the kind of band fantasy question I like to ask is if you guys could play anywhere in the world, where would you like to play, and what bands would you like to have on the bill?
I'm gonna say like I feel like the
The second part of the question is easy, I think, for all of us.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, let's start with Sam. You can get the
Where in the world would I like to play?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I don't know. Probably somewhere cool in Europe, somewhere in like, it'd be cool to play like Sweden or something, you know, different. And for me, the band would be Meshuggah for sure. I think that'd be just the coolest experience.
Yeah,
So
75, so I don't
Stewart, any place you'd like to play?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say the same thing as Sam. So doing a circuit in Europe would be where it's at. Just to see some of, like, you know, be able to see some of the cities over there and be able to play over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say Meshuggah too, but they are getting up there. So bands that are maybe more our age, Animals as Leaders would be sweet.
Yeah. Rob, how about you?
I think there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in the UK.
Yeah.
I think where is Loathe from again?
Liverpool.
I think playing in Liverpool would be sick. There seems to be really cool music coming out of there, and it just seems to be a vibe. And yeah, I mean, of course, Meshuggah, I think would be great. But also Loathe, I mean, if we could play a show with Loathe in Liverpool, that would be awesome. I feel like, yeah, that would be really interesting to kind of see their origins and what that city is like.
Yeah. David, how about you?
I'll give the cop-out answer of purely for selfish reasons, though, because I wanna see stuff in Europe. So that would be cool. And I guess I'll give a different answer for a band that I would want to play with, which would be a Car Bomb.
Cool. Awesome. I saw that band once. They were, yeah, crazy. That's good. Yeah.
Your glasses got lost in a bit.
My favorite moment of seeing them is that the singer was wearing those sweatpants, those like sweatpants that are like the half zip off, and like somewhere through the set he like or it was coming unzipped, so he like unzipped like one half of like his left leg, so he just had like he was like one leg was shorts and one leg was pants, and it like monologues. The rest of the show were about it. It was good. It was great. Like.
Gabby, how about you?
Yeah, I also would like to play with Meshuggah, either in Sweden or just toward the UK. I agree with that. But I guess to give it a different answer, then I would say it'd be cool to tour with the Contortionists, like in the United States, just like go everywhere with them.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet because I love those guys.
Yeah. So it'll be easy.
It'll be, yeah. Yeah, a lot more realistic. But no, I agree with all those answers, man.
Awesome. So you guys have any like before a show, do you have any like pre-show rituals? Anything you just have to do before you get out to play? Gabby, how about you?
I don't do this all the time, but I either like to have a shot of something just to chill out, or I like to drink tea or something like, that'll get my throat good enough to sing. I do that rehearsal a lot, and that helps. But sometimes I do nothing and just go in there and I do horrible, so that's fine.
Sam, how about you?
I like to stretch my back because I'm old and my back hurts, so I do that. That's about it.
Excellent. Stewart, how about you?
For me, I don't really have it. I mean, I do like to have a beer during the set. That might be the ritual. A beer and a water. That's like the set ritual. But honestly, I don't really have. Maybe just like a little just stretch my forearms or something. That's it. Like I like to just go into it and play and not have to think too much about it.
Nice, nice. Rob.
Yeah, for this, it's nothing crazy. It's this music seems to kind of come somewhat easily, but I do like to warm up like earlier in the day. If I could, but not like right before the show. It would be like in the morning or in the afternoon. And literally just play scales, like play scales with the metronome. That's probably like the best. I always feel better if I do that.
And David, how about you?
The only thing that I really do is I just do hand stretches before I go up there, because sometimes my hand cramps up a little bit trying to reach for those lower strings on the guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. So I'm curious, like, how do you feel like the music scene is in Metro Detroit for the type of music that you guys play? How do you feel it? Is it receptive? Is it not receptive?
For our type of music, like,
Yeah, for the kind of progressive technical music that you guys are playing, the jazz influenced metal.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bands around here that are doing progressive things, maybe not necessarily the same thing we're doing, but that are progressive in their own way. And I think that there's a lot of good venues and people always come out to the shows. So there's a pretty decent scene, I would say.
Nice.
Yeah. You played what, 3 shows now?
Yeah, 4 shows? Yeah.
There's a 3. Yeah, and like all of them have been like pretty, like people have shown up to it and all the bands are cool. Like, I mean, that record release show, you had the Free Jazz Group and there was Dr. Pete Larson. He's fantastic.
Yeah.
But just really good techno music. But like we played a show, what was it called? The big one, the diesel.
Corpus.
Yeah, Corpus. Yeah, and like there was a ton of people there. I would say there was at least I would say total 300, 400, maybe even 500 people out there, like just hanging out, like catching all the bands, and people would just, they go see the bands they like, whatever, and then hang
Yeah.
out. And there was 14 bands. Yeah. So there's a decent amount of, at least with metal, there's a lot of local bands that try to get out and play a lot. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was thinking that you guys would fit really well with like Imminent Sonic Destruction, Blood Rune Sigil, and I think that was that other band I was thinking of. Shoot, I'll think of it after we're done. But yeah, I agree. I think the music scene's pretty robust, especially the heavy music scenes. There's a really good, Metro Detroit has good stuff. Surprisingly, in Kalamazoo, there's a lot of super heavy progressive bands out there. Drink Their Blood. I just actually went and saw those guys not too long ago. You guys ever heard of Lucius Fox?
No.
You guys should check them out, one, and two, do a show with them because they're fantastic. It's just two dudes. It's two dudes, crazy drummer and a crazy guitar player, and they do songs about like glaciers, and the last album they did was all about the moons of Jupiter. So
Oh, that's really cool.
yeah, you guys, I think you guys would fit in really well. That would be a good. I'm already kind of envisioning touring packages for you guys if you haven't figured it out. Crazy. So one other question is sort of like back to the origin. What was the very best? Well, I guess maybe not an origin question, but just curiosity. Like, what was the best concert you guys have each of you have seen, and what was it that made it so damn awesome? Other than Stewart watching the Doobie Brothers when he was 3.
I wasn't heard for multiple concert. I can go first. And the most recent time I've seen Meshuggah was the best concert I've been to. That concert was spectacular. They just completely tight as a band. Like the thing I actually appreciate most about seeing them live, I mean, they sound as good as the album. Anyone who listens to their music knows how good they are live because it is literally album good live. But the thing that doesn't translate in their music on the album to live is like they have such a nice atmosphere for a performance, and like everyone, it's like a rabid, almost like atmosphere. Like people are very, it's like you can tell the whole audience is completely focused on like what's happening. And like there is hits at their shows, but there's not like a ton of hits. Like it's a lot of people just really grooving to their music, and it's the only band like concert I've ever been to. I mean, I've seen twice, and both times it's the same thing. Like it's like
Nice.
people, it's an attitude there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Rob, how about you?
Yeah, I was also at that Meshuggah show.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was unreal. I mean, multiple times where I was like literally in tears because of just, reliving the music live. Yeah, that was amazing.
Cool.
I do tend to like small rooms too.
Yeah.
Like I remember seeing Mike Stern at the 55 bar
Oh, cool.
for City. That was like one of the most special concerts I've ever seen, just because I mean he was like about 5.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, I would say there's so many. It's kind of hard to.
I know. It's a what do you call, revolving door kind of question, because it's like tomorrow you could go see a show and it's like that was that was the one that was most awesome.
Right. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you almost see some every year where you're like, that was the best show I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Every year it changes. David, how about you? What was the best one you've seen so far?
There's a couple that come to mind. It's funny because I saw them literally like within like maybe like a few weeks of each other. The obvious one is seeing Meshuggah. I mean, like you almost forget that you're watching live music. It's so tight. Like
Yeah.
inhuman, like crazy, crazy. And then the other one that comes to mind is when I think it was me, Gabby, Stu, and Rob. We saw a guitarist named Kurt Rosenwinkel play at the Blue Llama, which is a jazz club in Ann Arbor.
Oh yeah.
He's been a musical hero of mine since I was like 18 or 19 years old. So like seeing him in person in Michigan too, like
Yeah,
was
it doesn't
so
matter.
cool. Like
Nice.
music.
I'm glad you mentioned that. 'Cause I thought about that right after.
What was crazy is that line of shows, literally, Kurt played, and then like a week later, we saw Meshuggah.
Yeah.
We also got the contortionist, like, it was like 10 days, we
Yeah.
got 3 shows, and it was like, oh.
Gabby, how about you?
I also agree about the Meshuggah. I didn't wear earplugs and I don't regret it. My ears were hurting really bad, but I'm glad I didn't hear everything. And I knew I wasn't gonna get that chance again for a long time, so I was like, screw it. But if it was good, then I would say, it was me, David, and Stu. We went and spontaneously saw the Deftones when they came through. I
I
was
was there
like,
too,
"Oh, you were there too?"
That was.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw the I love the way Chino performs. Like he's my favorite like front person. Like just everything about him, like this the way he sings, obviously, and like the way
Yeah.
he captivates and goes around the stage. Like man, how are you not tired? He's been doing this for a long time. Like I
Yeah.
was just today, like we saw him play with Crosses like a month or so ago, and then we just saw a post like he just played at Coachella. I'm like, how are you not tired? He's amazing.
Yeah. That guy is yeah, he is an incredible performer. You
Yeah.
know, and he sounds awesome too. So it's like, yeah. Sam, did I get you? I don't think so.
No, for sure. I'm glad Gabby said Deftones because that's definitely my either first or second pick, but I'll say one of my favorite ones is when Loathe came through and did their headlining tour for I Let It In and It Took Everything. And my favorite part about this is I didn't get tickets in advance and they were sold out.
Oh.
So my buddy and I went to the show and we were like,
Sanctuary.
is it the Sanctuary
Yeah.
in the Hamtramck? We got to the show a little late and we were like, I guess we can try to sneak in. So we go around to the back of the venue. Right as we come around the corner, there's a door guy there. He's got the door open. He's like, you guys coming in? And just like, so we walk in the back door to the front stage right as they get on stage and start their set. And I was like up front the whole time. And I was just like, this is so good. Oh my, it could not have been better. It was perfect.
Rolled out, he was just there like,
It was so good.
yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I've only seen Meshuggah once, and that was when they this was a while ago, and they opened up for Tool.
Well, this is like how long ago? Was this 2001 or 2?
Yeah, it was way back.
No one knew about them back then.
Yeah, yeah. 'Cause I didn't know about them, and then I was like, "Holy shit, what is this?" You know, and it's like, "Holy cow, this is crazy!" It was awesome, but it was like, I I I was flabbergasted. I still am when I listen to that band, because when you guys mentioned like how tight they are, I've seen videos, you know, where they're playing, and it's like, Jesus, how can they do that? You know, but still sound, because like you guys said, we're the the audience is wrapped, and they're giving off this energy that while the performance is technically like perfect, there's also an energy to it that you don't necessarily I don't think you necessarily get when you listen to it on a album or whatever. And I had the exact opposite experience the first time I saw Dream Theater. Again, a very technically awesome band, but like I was so bored. I was like, what in the fuck? It's like it was like why like I I really did feel this way. Like I could have just listened to the CD at home. I mean, it has the same amount of energy as this. Like, and I'm bored out of my gourd. I love, um, uh, Mike Portney and his drumming and everything, but I was just like, this is boring as hell. But when I saw Meshuggah for that one time, it was totally awesome. And it was like, Jesus, what are they doing? So.
I actually have a theory about that. I think it's because, I feel with Meshuggah, the goal is while they're making complex music it ultimately is still actually kind of simple in a lot of ways versus, and they make it, it's basically complex, but it's not overtly trying to be complex necessarily. Yeah, and there's always a groove happening. So versus like with Dream Theater, and I used to listen to them a lot in like in high school and stuff like that. And they often sound like they're intentionally trying to make really complex music, which is cool, but it has its place, but it's not always I don't find it nearly as contagious. If that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Another.
we love you. Please take us on to it.
I know. I'm saying these like the shit about them playing like live. I love the band's music, but like live, I was just like, felt like it was like just, stale bread there. But I'm curious. Like, do you guys? What do you guys think of Gojira?
Oh, I used to love it.
Yeah.
I listened to it all the time. The Flying Whales album, that's what it's called. Flying Whales.
From Mars to Sirius.
From Mars to Sirius,
Yeah.
yeah. I used to love that album.
Yeah, The Way of All Flesh is so good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. I was just thinking of Gojira when we were just talking about Meshuggah because there's sort of another dynamic there where they have, and I think when you were talking about Stewart, simple music that is also complex or gives that, that Gojira has that for me. They've got these really kind of, it's basic kind of stuff, but then with the way they put it together, it just sounds, I don't know, amazing.
The drums too, because he is just ridiculous, and he like will play the craziest stuff over like a relatively simple guitar part, but then make it sound like just gnarly.
Yeah. I always find it interesting is when they'll make a really simple sounding riff that sounds like quarter notes, but in reality the guitar players are like, I'm like, that is really fast actually.
Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for being on Fans with Bands. I really appreciate it, and I'm stoked to see you live. Hopefully, I'll have to check my calendar and see if I can make it out to the 8th because that would be cool. That said, I just have one last question for you guys, and that is pineapple or no pineapple on pizza?
Yes, pineapple.
Yes,
100% yes.
Yes, pineapple. Yeah,
We'll go.
Is that unanimous band right there?
He's probably not.
Oh.
I was recently converted to pineapple like less than a year ago, so I'm still feeling it out. I'm not opposed, I'm just sus.
The pineapple,
No.
that's the key right there.
That's bacon. Let's go. Let's go.
That's where you lost it.
Yeah, so look at in this band we work at democracy. So one. So
Yep.
yay on pineapple.
There you go. Awesome. Great. Well, guys, thanks again for being on Fans of Bands. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Many thanks to Gabby, Rob, David, Sam, and Stewart from Annex Void, along with fans Crystal and Cheryl for joining me on this episode of Fans of Bands. I had a phenomenal time talking with Annex Void. Their EP called Will I Dream is outstanding. If you love brilliant, heavy, technical, progressive music, you've got to check out Annex Void. Get them on your playlist. They're fantastic. You can catch Annex Void live on June 8th at the Sanctuary in Hamtramck and on June 29th at the Music Factory in Battle Creek. Stay tuned to their website and socials for more information. See the show notes for all the details and links. Bands are nothing without you, the fans. Purchasing music and merchandise is critical to their survival. If you can help out your favorite bands, please do. If you're in Michigan, consider following the Playing in Detroit Area Tonight and SE for Southeast Michigan Music Facebook pages. They are fantastic places for fans and bands to support each other and share our combined love of music. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast service to get each and every episode of Fans with Bands. Spread the word by rating the show, telling your friends, telling your neighbors, telling your family, telling your priest, tell everyone, and leave a comment. We want to hear what you think. You can keep in touch by following us on social media. This is a Life in Michigan production. Until next time, be well and kick out the jam.